Hi there. Does this sound familiar to you? Jumping is all about staying between the standards and going over the colored sticks. Are you looking to get ahead with your riding or looking for exercises that may help? Join me, Laura Kelland-May, and our special guest today, Jen Marsden Hamilton, as we share some proven training strategies to build those winning performances in the show ring. And she'll be sharing a secret setup not found in the book, Stride Control. So stay tuned. Hi there, and thank you for being with us today. My name's Laura Kelland-May, and welcome to Equestrian Skill Builders live broadcasts, where we discuss equestrian-related topics and share ideas and exercises to help you and or your riders. And you get to be a part of the discussion as well. Our special guest today, Jen Marsden Hamilton, international coach and author, and I will share some excellent information that you can use in your next riding session. Thank you, Jen, for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me. It's great fun. It's snowing outside. This is a perfect thing to be doing.
And like you said before, it's kind of nice to talk about something else other than COVID.
That's right. And to actually talk to someone.
And actually talk to somebody, yes. For those of you who don't know Jen Marsden Hamilton, she is an internationally renowned equestrian coach based in Canada. She travels throughout Canada, US, New Zealand, Australia, and Kenya, training horses and riders. Jen combines her Bachelor of Education, Acadia University, with the most current coaching and equestrian training to nurture the next generation of star athletes. And me, I'm Laura Kelland-May. I help people improve the riding, training, and understanding of their horses by providing hands-on and now virtual training to produce educated, thinking horse people. Check out my website. I'm going to put it in the comments there. I'm Equestrian Canada Senior Judge and Steward and a competition coach specialist, high performance trained, thanks to the program that Jen put together, and produce these live equestrian broadcasts, bringing you interesting equestrians each week. There we go. That's just to keep people interested. Welcome to the warm-up, and this is the part of the broadcast where we find out more about our guest. So, Jen, I don't want to just say, tell us about yourself, but why did you decide to write or make this book?
Well, I was doing a clinic, which is my main thing doing, and it was a very frustrating clinic. And so I went home and I wrote a rant. And the rant was titled, "You want the glory of winning, take the responsibility for the ride." And so I wrote it, and it was a good catharsis. And I have this friend in New Zealand or in Australia who actually publishes the wonderful magazine Horses and People. And I sent it to her. And she published it. And then
can we see that article? Where is it? Is it still published somewhere that we could look at? Is there a link to it somewhere? Or
well, it's actually scattered through my book, Stride Control. Okay. The concept of it. So anyway, because of that rant, Christina got me to write some more articles, and they were actually based on my teaching experience as I went around doing clinics, because people are always saying to me, well, I don't know what to train at when I'm at home.
Right.
So being the school teacher in me said, I'll give you notes. And so I wrote out all of the exercises we did. Well, not all of them, a lot of them. And the purpose of them, how they were doing, the strategy, and this type of thing. And I would hand out notes at the end of clinics. And then Christina said, well, we should write a book.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Why not put it in a book? So
why not?
You would think it would be very simple to take magazine articles and put them in a book. It is much more difficult than you think. And fortunately, well, Christina's in Australia. I'm in Nova Scotia. I mean, really, can I do this? No. So fortunately, I was able to find Liz Hardy, who's a graphic designer. And we got together and we did my first book, which was called A Jump Ahead.
Right.
And it took a lot of time to do, and a lot of love and care. And it's a book, because I was used to writing manuals, is written more in a manual type of format. Well, it's very exciting. And that Trafalgar Square Printing in the States, largest publisher of equestrian books, picked up my book, A Jump Ahead, and said they would like to republish it with a new format. So we now had, so A Jump Ahead went and became Stride Control. Now, if you have A Jump Ahead, you're probably saying, oh, well, I don't need to get the new book. Well, you actually do, because
different
everything
format
from the old book is in the new book, but there's things have been added. And, well, I like to think of A Jump Ahead as that fabulous green horse, well, not that green, but, it's only jumping, a meter 40, 30. And you look at it and you go, man, this is a nice horse. But what would happen if BZ Madden got on it? So I think of A Jump Ahead as the meter 30, 35 horse with a very competent rider on. It's good. It's having good rides, blah, 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 blah. But A Jump Ahead is the BZ edition.
Okay. And where can people get that, or can they still get it?
Stride Control definitely can get it. You can, Greenhawk is selling it. You can, across Canada, in Nova Scotia, you can get it from Bits and Bridles in Falmouth. Can Pro Equestrian Supplies, actually, you can get it directly from them. And do you want their phone number? It's a toll-free number.
But I mean, if people who are listening want to get a copy of this book, you're talking about Stride Control or A Jump Ahead?
Jump Ahead is no longer. Everything is now Stride Control. Okay. And that can be bought at tack shops, or as you did, you can get it from Amazon.
Right. So there's Stride Control, and we do also have this as well. This is how popular it is for anybody who, so you can get that on Amazon. That must have been where he got it from.
Yeah, but I would suggest you buy local. Buy local,
yes.
Buy local.
So your local tack store probably has it, or in whatever area you're in, because you can get it anywhere. Can you get it internationally?
Yes, you can. And if you go to my Facebook page, Jen Marston Hamilton Equestrian Coach, all the different countries, where you can buy them is listed.
Oh, okay. So that's good. Go to Jen Marston Hamilton Coach.
Equestrian Coach.
Equestrian Coach. I did look up Jen Hamilton on I did a Google search, and there's a blogger, Jen Hamilton, but it's not you.
Yeah, she's a stripper.
She's a stripper. Okay. Thank you
there
for
is
that.
One Jen Hamilton that is a stripper, actually. She's probably
okay. So good. Haley Shepard says, hi, Laura. Hi, Jen. I'm so excited. I love your books. Thank you. Thank you, Haley. That's very nice of you to say that. Allison Kelland-May says, clap, clap, clap. She is, thank you so much for your comments. If you do have comments, we do like to see your comments in here, and we will show them. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. People want to know, Jen, is it going to be a Stride Control 2?
Well, I think I have the book in my head, but I would say it's all based on reader support and turnout. There's no point in writing a second book if the first book isn't that well received, although it appears to be well received. But come on, people, go buy so you can get a second book.
Yeah. Okay. So Megan Hamilton, Laureus, posted here facebook.com Jen Marsden Hamilton as your Facebook link. And you should be able to take that link and go see Jen Hamilton on Facebook and see what she was talking about with where you can purchase your book.
See, I don't know things.
So that's your social media manager.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'd like to know, Jen, what do you think is the biggest challenges that today's riders face? Is it the mindset? Is it money? Is it horsepower? What do you think some of the biggest challenges are that the new riders, young riders face today that maybe you didn't face when you were starting?
I actually think the problem is society on a whole. When you and I were starting to ride in the dark days, there just weren't the insurance problems and all this other type of thing. And we were allowed to go out and just be crazy people on horses. And, when I first started riding, I started on a horse called Tiny. I remember him with total love. Obviously, Tiny was not tiny. He was quite tall, and he was I thought he was the most beautiful horse in the world. I don't think kids get that opportunity anymore. I think we've become too litigious. I think we've become too competition oriented. And, that's society. I don't think
people
kids
are just concerned about winning and getting that ribbon and having sponsors be happy.
Well, I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's just everything has become, in some areas, there is no competition. It's just participation. That is not the way a lot of parents look at the equestrian sport. They're spending a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah.
And they want to see the rewards for it. So it becomes competition oriented. And I think that takes a lot of the just sheer joy out of being with the horse, which is why we started it riding to begin with, that love of the horse and being able to play with them. Again, if you read my book, you can see that I did play with my horses. And they were the horses that I showed at Madison Square Garden. They weren't just drilled to death.
I see. Here's the book, right? Here's your stride control book. Yeah, there are I think you do point that out in your book that you're made to enjoy your horse and not just wait at ringside and wait for somebody to hand you the horse to go into the ring. I like to kind of call that horse IQ. Like you have your horse IQ, you get to spend some time with your horse and you get to understand and learn about your horse and just enjoy your horse. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
So at the end of my book, I make the statement that my ordinary horses did some extraordinary things for me because they knew that I loved them and they loved me. How did we get that relationship? Because I did things with them. I bandaged them. I mucked them out. I got them ready at shows. Now, again, society is saying that is not the way it should be done. You have your horse handed to you. I don't think a bond is set up enough between riders and the horses anymore.
Yes, I understand exactly what you're talking about. The horses have to know you're going to be there for them. And that doesn't come from hopping on and doing a warm up and going in the show. It comes from handling the horses and taking the time to be with them.
Yeah. But if you look at the top riders, they do show their empathy and their concern and their love for their horses. They really do. Listen to McLean Ward. Listen to BZ Madden. Their horses do care for them because they care for them. And it isn't just grooms that are doing it. It's in this middle area of people starting to show being caught up in the society of having grooms and blah, 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 that's where it falls apart.
Right. Yep. Okay. So I just want to get to some comments here. Kim, thank you so much, Kim, for this comment. Love the books. Lots of great exercises that have all the distances on the diagrams. So it's great to take out to the ring. Excellent. So it sounds like, Kim, that you're taking your book out with you to set up some of the exercises that are in the book. That's wonderful. Excellent. Kaylee, thank you, Kaylee, very much. For me, I'm not worried about winning. I'm just worried about not falling off and having fun. That's excellent. Yeah, I think we're all
kind of... that's winning. You see, that is winning. Because you're enjoying what you're doing. That's a win. That's a win.
And also, it's having fun. That's so important. And if you're having fun, that's a win. But it's the competition. So you have to think about keeping those blinders on and not worry about what everybody else is thinking about. Just think about what you're having fun with.
Which is hard when a lot of money and time is being spent.
Yeah. Okay. So Lavender says, LOL. Not sure what you're laughing at, Lavender, but thank you so much for that.
Maybe it means lots of love.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Terry Ann says, thank you so much, Terry Ann. Appreciate it. So true. Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So here's you have an equitation question too, if you don't mind answering it. How do you keep your legs off your horse in 2-point? How do you keep your legs off your horse in 2-point? I'm moving into big EC classes, and according to my trainer, it's an issue. Well, maybe we could answer that. Can you answer that one quickly, Jen, or do you want to wait for the end of the program for that one?
I don't really understand the question because I don't understand how you take your legs off
your horse in a 2-point. I don't know. Should your legs be off in 2-point?
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about that one later. Lavender, if you could maybe give us a little bit more specifics about it, then that would be great. So with respect to your book, Stride Control book, beautiful book. It's got lots of lovely, it's a beautiful read. It's pretty, and it's got lots of excellent information there. How will these exercises in your book, Stride Control, help all horses and rider combos from the starting out people to the elite athletes? Because you've got pictures of elite athletes in here, but and also of everybody in between. So how do these exercises help all riders?
Well, the main focus of Stride Control is actually longitudinal control, back to front, the whoa and the go, combined with position. Position is the most important thing, and then we can go to other things. If there's no position, you're in trouble. It's position which saves your life. Now, you've got to be able to, as I said, whoa and go. So I am a very big believer in transitions. So we talk about transitions in it. And then learning to control the stride. And I use poles to help riders actually be able to self-assess their canter. It's very nice to go out there and just say, just canter.
Just canter.
Well,
yep.
It can be meaningless. But if you put poles down, you can talk about having a middle canter, and I call it a middle canter, not to be confused with any dressage term. It's a middle canter. Just establish a middle canter, your comfortable canter. And then you should be able to open and close the stride, lengthen and shorten on demand. And so that is what is being stressed in this whole thing. Gradually, the exercise become more difficult and more sophisticated. Now, it's basics I'm talking about, and everybody always has to go back to basics, even the elite athletes. Well, they have to, and they are doing it, which is why they're successful. If
right.
you forget the base, you're in trouble. So it's, I think the lower level riders, it starts giving them a sense of accomplishment and being able to do the pulls in different stride lengths. And I think it gives them security. I can control stride, because that is one of the biggest fears of people riding when they first start out. With, as the horse continues in its progression of training, as I said, it becomes, the stride control becomes more sophisticated in what you have to do. And you actually go from pulls, then you go to jumps based on the discipline you're going to be showing in.
I like where you say it gives them security, and also it also takes that fear away, because they know what they're supposed to do next, or they have an understanding or a guide, kind of a platform or a progression that they can do, and that kind of takes away some fear too, because oftentimes, like you say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Yeah.
And see, I like the exercise to educate people.
Right.
You can't just, the exercise educates the rider. You can't, it doesn't work when the trainer is just telling you yay or nay, because you're not really learning anything at that point. Stride control educates feel. It educates your eye. It helps you learn to read the situation and then act accordingly. If people can't read the situation, it's a panic situation. And panic riders are not good.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
Panic riders not good.
No. Okay, so we have a comment here from our friend Victoria. Thank you so much, Victoria, for joining in with us today, and also to make this comment. In the old days, one horse did everything. So much fun, especially when Jen was able to make a silk purse out of a mediocre horse. Unbelievable. With Jen's guidance, I actually found a distance once. Thank you, Vicky, so much for that. Excellent, excellent comments.
I could add more to that, but I won't.
That's a 2-beer story.
Oh, yeah.
Kim, thank you, Kim, for coming on and taking the time to put a comment in. I appreciate it. Love the chapter on passion for the horse. Yes, excellent. Thank you. And Jessica says, good morning, Laura. Super excited. Just found your 20+ exercise. Okay. Thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate it. Pam McIntosh, great session. Thank you so much, Pam, for making this comment. Thanks to both of you. Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody, for these. If you do have questions or comments, I really appreciate it. If you'd make a comment or have a question here, and we'll try to get to your questions and comments as best we can. All right. So now we're going to go on to part 2. This is the training part of the session, and this is the part of the program where we get our guests to share some ideas about training. And today we're going to talk about winter training, maybe do's and don'ts for the winter training. So Jen, I was going to ask your opinion, but I better not do that. I said, what is the importance of winter training, particularly for us? We are in right now, just, getting to the end of winter. Hopefully spring's around the corner. You've got lots of snow where you are. We've got lots of snow where we are, and it's been cold. What kind of things can we do during the winter to help ourselves and help our horses?
Okay, so that's a bit of a multi-level question. Horses that are competition horses in the winter should actually go into a off-season period where they're not being trained. They're still being kept fit and things, but you can't overtrain them. Then you have the average
So when you
riders.
say by off-season, sorry to interrupt you, when you mean by off-season, for people who may not know what that means, do you mean, could you explain what that is?
Well, we're just not showing.
Okay.
We're not competing. And then you see, then we can go into the preseason and then the season. So in the off season, I personally think the average, and we're not talking elite riders and this type of thing. They're in Florida doing their thing. But I think the average rider does need to take a break from the horses at times. The break from the structured training, the high pressure training and this type of thing. And the horses do too. Excuse me. The horses get sour if they're drilled and drilled and drilled. And so do the riders. It becomes boring as anything. I mean, really, how many times can you do a 20-meter circle?
Exactly.
Anyway, so during the off season, I think people should actually be enjoying their horses. I mean, again, in my book, there's pictures of us ski joring with the horses. That's where the rider pulls, or the horse pulls a skier. Our daughter used to take her pony and drag around her brother on a toboggan.
And that's you, Jen, right? That's you on the horse, and is that your daughter?
That's me riding. No, it's me riding, and Gail Morash. Do you remember her?
Yes.
She's doing the riding, yeah.
The skiing.
That's at our place, yeah. Or the skiing, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of, yeah.
It was good fun.
Yeah, so those are strength exercises. It's just a little bit different.
And it's fun, and the horses get a change. I mean, why not go out if you're, and I do suggest this one in a closed area, but why not go out and ride them bareback in the snow? If you fall off, hey, it's a soft landing.
Maybe they got an off the track thoroughbred that's 16.2 with a set of withers that are like.
Well, we used to do it on off the track thoroughbreds. We used to have great fun. Yeah. I mean, people will remember Rosemary Campbell. Rosemary Campbell, who lived in Guelph, used to come down and visit us, and during the winter, and we'd ride around on this one horse that we had winter fair. 3 of us would ride her around in a halter and a lead shank in the snow. And we would just gallop around the ring as fast as we could. When we got to the end gate, she would slam the brakes on and we'd all fall off. And we'd get up and we'd do it again. It was great fun. But insurance, I guess, doesn't allow that anymore. Anyway,
well, I think too, Jen, with respect to that, what you're talking about is that a lot of people who are riding now don't have their horses or don't have their horses in their backyard, so they can't do that. They're like once a week riders or at a stable type thing. So unfortunately, they can't develop their riding that way. I think you also, when you do that, you get the ability to stick it. My horse is going to stop at the in gate this time, and so you get to feel what that's like. And then
you also learn how to fall off, and you don't get scared of it. But okay, so in the off season, I think people should be having fun with them wherever they can. How can you do fun? I mean, go barrel, practice pole bending, practice barrels or something. Something different, just different. But then when you're starting to get into the preseason or you're wanting to actually do some training without wearing the legs off horses, again, I would go to a pole exercise. I think they're wonderful. Again, getting the control of the stride. One of the main problems here in North America where we ride in indoor rings, we have a tendency to shut the horse's stride down because it's more comfortable. And then when we go outside and actually have to get on a true stride, it's terrifying for some people. So again, I think doing stride control in the arena on appropriate distances will teach the open and closed stride. So when you get outside, no panic.
You know what a 12-foot stride is like, and you're not afraid to open it up.
Well, most of the time indoors, you're not working on a 12-foot stride, but it's the equivalent of it when you're indoors. So
even having the walls, I remember riding in indoor arena, small indoor arena, and then going outside when it was nice out, I think, oh my gosh, I feel like I don't have any control because there's no walls anymore. So
stride control, my dear.
Okay, so we do have a few more comments. Here's, hey, Gran, it's me, Julia. Hope you're doing well.
It's my granddaughter.
Yeah. So, hi, Grand, love, Rory, and Holly. Thank you so much. And then there's is that a cat?
Where's the cat? The cat has been locked up.
Oh, people love cats. What's your cat's name?
Gray,
It must
because
be
he's gray.
Yeah, Gray. Okay, so getting back to our topics here, thank you so much, Holly and Megan, for those comments. We appreciate it. So in the winter time, you're saying don't jump the legs off the horse. You can practice these exercises, and by doing them over poles.
Yeah,
Perfect.
because it's all about the canter. The jump isn't the big deal. It's getting to the jump that's the big deal. And that is the rider's responsibility. I mean, the rider has to work on their part of the equation, getting to the jumps. And at the same time, you can be working on the horse's part of the responsibility through gymnastics, teaching through the horses, their technique, and this type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next thing here. Just hang on.
Not bored.
Isn't that nice? Okay, this broadcast is sponsored by Equestrian Skill Builders. That's me. Be a thinking rider, progress faster, ride effectively, and be extraordinary. So we hope to see you on Equestrian Skill Builders. I think last time I checked, I'm 3 people away from being to 1,000, and I'd like for you to get me to 1,000 today. So go to Equestrian.
Click.
Facebook.com, Equestrian Skill Builders. I'll put that in the link here in the comments so that you can do that. Okay, we got another comment. I'd best get some poles out next week. Yes, you better do that. Okay, so I remember Jen teaching the Windsor, poles and strides. Do it in 3, now do it in 4. Yes, I remember doing that too. I think I told you that, Jen. Thank you, Allison, very much for the comment. I think I remember, one of my the first lesson I had with Jen was a few years ago at Lloyd Newcomb's farm near Middleton in Nova Scotia. And it was stride control. And it was
35 years ago.
Yeah, as I said to Jen before, I think I was 1 when I was doing that exercise. I was 1 years old. And I think, Jen, you might have been that age too. Anyway, yes, that's something that she's been studying and doing a lot. So if you are just joining us, we welcome our special guest today, Jen Marsden Hamilton. And we are commenting on her book here, Stride Control. And now we're going to go into these exercise. Go use this stuff exercise. You have a bonus exercise for us, right? Okay, so tell us about this exercise, and I'm going to add the diagram here for the setup.
Well, first of all, when you're indoors, you don't have a lot of room. And I'm always concerned about footing when we're indoors. Fortunately, things have gotten better about footing. You know, with people are more concerned. Indoors used to get very, very hard and very slippery. That isn't really the case anymore, fortunately. Anyway, so what we have are poles on the sides, and then on the center line, I have a small jump. Now, the purpose or the exercise is, and I should say, I'm not really giving it a total distance. I would give a distance of maybe 56 to 60 feet. And here it's hard to really give a definite distance because it's all determined by the size of the arena and the horse you're on and this type of thing. So on the sides, we want to have the same distance on both sides. So the exercise is canter the poles and just canter around twice. And what you do on the first set of poles, you have to do in the second. So probably the most comfortable distance would be 5 strides for people. So if you do 5 strides in the first one, do 5 strides on the second one. So, and that's just done to get a feel. Now, the whole exercise is canter down the poles in, again, we'll just say 5 strides. 5 strides, and then the diagonal to the side, the diagonal, and then you do it 3 times. Now, what is the purpose of this? The purpose is to set up a stride and then learn how to maintain it. The horses, as they go around, don't keep the pace. It's the rider's responsibility to keep the pace. And I've said many times, if the horses could do it without you, they would do a better job, but they need you. And so we're going to canter down over the poles, the diagonal, the side, the diagonal, and you do it 3 times. Sounds very simple.
Right.
The simpler the exercise, quite often the more difficult it is. So what has to be taken into consideration here? The rider's position, the rider being able to feel and read the situation of when the horse is starting to get stronger. The use of your turns. The turns are incredibly important. Turns are where the horse can either really fall apart or you can actually get things back together. In my book, I talk about the recovery time and setup times. So when we're first starting this course, picking up the canter, going to the first line, you're in a setup time. You're setting up the canter to the best of your ability based on feel to get down the line.
So that's like here when you're, before, if you're going this way.
That would be the setup time. And then you read the situation and you use the count to help you. Halfway down the line, you should be halfway through the strides. And if you are, keep it. If you're not, fix it. So what we're just doing in that simple thing is teaching the use of the count to help develop feel and the eye. So now you've come off the first line and now you're going into the first turn. I would call this your recovery time. This is where the horse and rider have to be rebalanced because things are probably picking up. This is where you have to learn to go straight away. No cutting of corners. Horses learn to cut corners fast enough. So you don't want to teach them to do it. So you use the recovery time to get yourself rebalanced and fix up anything that could have gone wrong down the line. You know, that a little bit of a fix up, and you're getting your lead. You want to get your lead in the recovery time. About at the center line, you are now going in to what's known as your setup time. You're setting up for what you have to do next. And the next thing you have to do is go across the diagonal. And I want you going across the diagonal and jumping that little jump on a slice. Why do I want you jumping it on a slice? Let's face it, you guys don't steer that well and you come at angles sometimes. So get used to it now.
So it's a training thing.
Exactly.
You know?
And you're teaching the horse to stay straight. Now, how do you get the track to get to that diagonal? Well, the track in gives you the track away. The rider has to learn to be patient to find the track in for where they want to be later. And you want to be in the corner. So if you've cut the corner, go in your setup
on the approach
setup time.
Yeah.
You've just put yourself in more jeopardy on the landing side.
Right.
So you're learning about track. So we've done some stride control. Now we're doing some track work and maintain it. You have to maintain the canter. It's practicing for that dreaded lonely oxer on the diagonal. Patience, patience, ride the canter. So now you have to get into the corner. You have to regroup. You're in recovery time. Get your lead, position, and you're having to also consider the horse's, is it getting stiff? Is it getting on its forehand? Is it getting longitudinally stiff? Is it getting laterally stiff? You allow a horse to get laterally stiff, they become longitudinally stiff and they start running on you, or vice versa. They're connected. So you want to get a bend going to soften the horse going into the first turn. And then you get into setup time and you've got to set up those 5 strides again. There's a lot happening. And you do your setup time, you use the count halfway down the line, halfway through the strides, then you get into your recovery time. And then you get into your setup time, finding the track to the diagonal. And then you have to do it 2 more times.
It comes up pretty quickly.
It sure does.
So we have a I just wanted to put this in here. Sarah, thank you so much, Sarah, for this comment. Remembering Jen saying, get out of la la land, ride with conviction. Did she say, I'm wondering, Sarah, did she say that to you? There's probably a lot of Jen-isms out there. So if you have any more Jen-isms, we'd like to see them. So type them in. We'd like to see them. So yeah, I like this because as a judge, you get to see this in the ring, because people come in and the first line or 2 are great, and then they get, the horses start to get strong and the people start to panic. So there's not just the physical, but also the emotional and mental things going on here as well.
Yeah, I mean, the riders having to do many things. They're having to think, they're having to feel, they're all of this. And see, training is about forming habits. A habit is a skill that has been internalized. If you have to think about it, it's too late. So we have to practice skills over and over again to make it a habit. If you don't have to think about it, you're freeing your brain to do other things. So every time you come off a jump, you ride it to the best of your ability to make it a habit. Because if you're on course and you have to think, oh, I've come off the jump, I've got to go straight. Well, your focus is on that and not on what's happening.
So it has to become second nature, or just like automatic. You have to not be reactive to what's happening. You have to kind of just do it automatically. Like when you're like riding a bicycle, I guess.
Or driving a car when you're driving a standard, but I guess no one does that anymore. But see, we want to take out, we're always talking about you need narrow focus doing things. The way we get narrow focus in riding is by teaching the skills, make them a habit, so we don't have to think about that, so we can narrow the focus on what is happening now. And
being able to do something about it.
Yeah.
And not having to think about, oh, is my horse going too fast? Or is my horse dropping its shoulder in? Oh, I guess I better put my inside leg and rein on. And then by then you're already in, not in your recovery, you're already in your setup. And you go, oh my gosh, I'm way behind the 8 ball now. So those have to be kind of automatic things.
Okay, so in this exercise, I just had you do it 3 times.
Right.
But really, I think you should have to be able to do it 6 times. And 6 is a really good number because it actually allows the horse to keep going and get maybe heated up, and the rider's having to learn how to control that adrenaline, or the horse is going, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And they're just getting
Exactly.
too slow. So
Right.
you're finding out what's happening. I have found, and I'm also guilty of this, we don't have people go long enough to actually get the adrenaline up on the horse or test their mental fitness or physical fitness. You know, and you go and you do 4 lines, maybe 4 lines, and people pull up and they never actually get tired. The horse is never really on adrenaline, so they don't learn how to control it. So doing this exercise 3 and then 6 times, we're actually getting the horse's adrenaline up, teaching the riders what to do about it. And what I think it's a really good assessment exercise. And to tell you the truth, I mean, Allison, you tried it yesterday, and let me tell you, you were destined for failure.
It's Laura, by the way.
Oh, right. What did I call you, Allison? Your sister.
Because it's
Sorry.
my sister.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
I hope she's watching.
Hi, Allison. Happy birthday. Anyway, so, but you were, I was setting you up for failure.
I know, and
But
I
the thing is,
fell into it too.
Yeah, you did. But what I would use it for is an assessment exercise. And as a trainer, and I think riders use it for self-assessment. Where did you start to fall apart? The second round?
About round 3.
Yep. Second round?
Okay.
Third round? Why did it start to fall apart? Was it a loss of position because you were getting tired? Was it the horse is longitudinally stiff, laterally stiff, getting cut in the corners, doing all of this? What was the problem? And then you find the problem and then go back and do exercises to fix that problem.
Right.
And so you say, well, the horse is getting laterally stiff. Well, you go back and do shoulder in and leg yielding and all of this. So it again becomes a habit that you can fix things through lateral exercise. It's getting down here, transitions, longitudinal exercises. So it's to find out where the breakdown is.
Yep.
Do an exercise and then start putting it in. And your final test is you're working towards, you can go around there 6 times.
That's the goal. And it's used for an assessment so you can figure out, okay, I know, okay, I can do 3 really well, but then on the 4th time around,
were you being honest with yourself?
Well, I'm just saying as an example. Now I can do 3 pretty well, but on the 4th time, I can feel my horse dropping his shoulder in and getting long and strung out. So that's a strength thing. So then you can go back, okay, I need to do strength thing. I'm going to go right outside in the snow so that he can strengthen his muscles up a bit more, something like that. Okay, so Vicky, also the first fence is usually horrible. Thank you so much, Vicky, for this. That's a whole other.
Let me just say it quickly on this one. The first fence on the hunter course, it's all by itself. Everybody, it's not a freebie, people. And people go, well, how do I know what canter to have for that first fence? You need the canter that will take you down the first line. It's that simple. It's not a secret. You see, people, they're too weak to the first fence. I mean, they crawl over it. And then they go, oh, I got to start cantering because I got a 5-stride line coming up. Well, you needed to have that canter to get you down the 5-stride for the first fence. Very simple.
That is an excellent. So that's perfect. Exactly what you were talking about here when you say you needed the setup to your. I mean. It's perfect. Yeah. This is your setup. That's what you need. You need to finish the course on the canter that you started with.
And when I'm training people, I often put poles down and make them go over the poles to help them learn to set the pace for that first fence. So they're learning to get the pace far enough away, not 2 strides out from the jump. A blind man
Right.
can do that.
Okay. Allison says, high praise. Thanks. Yes. Thank you. Shannon McManus Beckvar. Longtime fan with my book in hand here in Pembroke, Ontario, just up the road here. Thank you. I would love to hear Jen's thoughts on current trends in equipment versus traditional classics in terms of function more than fashion. Are there things you'd like to see more or less of? So we're kind of moving into number 4 here. What is the most the question and answers? So yeah, that's an excellent question. Thank you, Shannon. It's what are your thoughts on current trends in equipment versus traditional classics? I know when you look at the pictures of the old classics, William Steinkroos, and they've got, or Jimmy Day, Jimmy Elder, those guys, they rode in snaffles and cavesons and maybe a martingale.
Well, with regard to bits, I think we've become much more sophisticated in bitting, and to the point that I think it's actually more humane for horses. That's another topic.
Yeah.
With regard to all the new things, less is better. I am a classic person in that I personally do like bling. I like necklaces and everything, but I think they should be in the place. I just think it's a fashion statement. I think it's fashion should not replace good riding. How's that?
That's a very good answer. Can I just show this picture here?
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Less is better.
Less is more. There you go. So
for the people can't see it, the horse doesn't actually have a bridle on.
Well, it's got a bit.
Yeah, well, horse was a head shaker, which is why it had to be done. But here's a question for you. You're a judge.
Yep.
What is the ruling on bridles and things to show and for the jumpers? What's the rule?
I mean, like which rule? They have to. I think
the FEI rule. There is an FEI rule.
Well, I don't know it off the top of my head. I mean, I can grab my book and look it up for you, but
actually, it's hard to find. The rule is, well, you don't need a bit because we have hackamores.
You're right.
You don't. In this case, we can show you there's no bridle.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the rule? You have to have reins.
You have to have reins.
So when people try, the wire around the neck. So I remember being at a show and someone wanting to do that. And the horse was very well trained to it and everything else. So they weren't allowed in. No reins. Must have reins.
Okay, reins.
There's a trivia thing for everyone. Must have reins.
That's good. And I think that's the humane thing of, humanity. Okay, so I want to get this one last question in because we're running out of time here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but what is the most exotic place you have taught? And then I have giraffes, monkeys, etc.
Okay, well, I've been to India, and that was kind of cool. But Kenya was amazing. I was at Jamboree Park in Nairobi, and it'd be the equivalent of the Royal Winter Fair, but outside. They had the pavilions and everything. And I'm in this big stadium, football stadium. And on the top of the stands, there was a roof, and all these monkeys were, around there. And I thought they were really cute. And there were all these mother monkeys. And, it was just, I thought they were so cute. Anyway, there were men all around the area that we were riding, and they were like spotters. I thought they were to grab horses if people fell off. I didn't know. And they were known as the askaris, the grooms. And what happened was a monkey came down into the arena, probably to steal my lunch. But what he was getting my lunch, and a horse went by him, and the monkey leapt at the horse, grabbed its tail, and now it's hanging onto the tail. Horse takes off, of course it would, and its tail is swinging like this with this weight on it, and this monkey was coming at the lady's face, going, ah! And then it would go the other way. It was terrifying. And the Ascaris, they must be used to this, they ran in and they got the horse stopped and the monkey off. Monkeys are scary.
Did it have the big teeth on it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was just terrifying. Probably very cute, but in this situation, terrifying.
It was going to attacking the horse.
Yeah. And then the other time, giraffes are very, very lovely. I just love the way they beautiful eyes and they look at you, but they're very bad when you're doing an event in Kenya at Sanctuary Forest, because the event is held in the sanctuary. And when they used to have roads and tracks, the riders are going around, and the biggest hazard of the whole event was roads and tracks. And that was because a giraffe would come out suddenly and the horse would go, oh, wow, spin, and the rider fell off in roads and tracks and was eliminated.
Yikes.
And then one time when I was teaching, a young giraffe watched me the whole time for a whole hour. Again, you know, when you need a camera, and it watched. And then when we finished, it went into the arena and actually went down a line of jumps. Now,
what? It jumped some jumps?
Yeah, giraffes, first of all, can are disunited. And when they jump, it actually went over the jumps. It wasn't very high. They weren't very high. But what it did was it kind of just lifted its front end over the jump, and then its hind end went pop. And then it cantered disunited to the next one. Kind of stopped, lifted its front end, hind end went up, pop. I needed a camera. Didn't have one.
Excellent. Okay, so we do you have time to do a couple more questions here, Jen?
Of course.
Okay.
We have no life here.
Okay. I recently looked at a book by Margaret Cable. Yes, I have that. I think Margaret Cable's old circa 1950s, 60s equitation photos were great. Everyone was using automatic, out-of-hand release. Now the trend is crest release. Any comments?
Well, I think it's gone back to more of an automatic release. An automatic release means that you're following with your hand. You're giving and you're following. You're keeping a straight line between your elbow and the bit. You're allowing the horse to jump. The crest release became the fashion for a while. And it was actually to be more the beginner release. So the rider didn't grab the horse's mouth in this type of thing. And then it became a fashion statement, a fashion ride on hunters to, I think, show softness. I'm not sure what it was calling. And it became easy for amateurs. I mean,
I think it was good for the horses too, right? To let the
for sure.
To allow, so the riders knew exactly where to put their hands, and then so there was a little loop in the rein, and the horses were free.
It's a training release. Training release to take you to the next step. A lot of people never got out of the next step. But if you look at now, they're doing all the derbies are one of the best things for the hunter division, in that horses are actually starting to jump real jumps again, and you can see pace, and you can actually see some riding and some jumping. But the automatic release, it's always used on jumpers.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, they have to do that too, to get the times and winning speeds and all that type of thing.
Well, to do
Kim-
an automatic release, you have to have a very strong base of support to hold yourself.
Excellent. Okay, so we do have another comment here from Laura Johnston. Laura says, thank you so much, Laura, for the comment. Is Jen still based in Nova Scotia? Yes. Any clinics planned this summer?
I have a totally free calendar. I'm just
Do you hear that,
waiting.
everybody? Jen's
I'm
free this
waiting.
summer.
I'm waiting for the restrictions to be taken off. Last year, I had 13 clinics canceled, one of some pretty exotic and cool ones, and that stopped. And we're still waiting for the restrictions to be taken off. So when restrictions are off, send ticket, we'll travel.
Yes, exactly. Okay, that's the wrong. Okay, so we have something from Jill Swain. I've trained with Jen for most of my riding career. She has been a wonderful trainer, always tested and pushed me. Thank you so much, Jill, for that comment. Appreciate it.
You remember Jill as Jill Cochran from Liverpool. And
yes.
Jill is seen throughout my book, Stride
Yes,
Control.
I noticed. I was just trying to see if I could find a picture
I
of her
paid
quickly.
her to call in.
Oh, good. I want a part of that, Jill. Okay, Laura says thank you. Fingers crossed. Yes, us too up here in Ottawa. Okay, so what I was going to ask you, what does your 2021 calendar look like?
Do you know that I went to Ottawa for 30 some years straight? Last year was the first year I missed going. I either went to Fiddler's Green or to West Star. I'm hoping to get back to West Star.
You hear that, Jeff, Bridget, if they're listening? I'll make a clip of this and send it to them. Yes, we'd love to have you back for sure. Okay, so we are going to sign off now. Thank you so much, Jen. Any final words for people?
Yes, I want them to thank them for tuning in, but I also want them to actually start really enjoying their horses and enjoy training. Training is fun. And it isn't just about going to horse shows and competing. It's about just getting better so that when you're out hacking, you do have control. And you can go hunting and you can do all sorts of things. Enjoy your horses. And whatever you do, do it with conviction and be a star.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jen. Excellent words. So we got lots of people here that are putting in comments. Thank you, Shannon and Lori, very much. See you at West Star, says Shannon. And Lori also says, keep me posted for Ottawa. Excellent. I think you should talk with maybe the people at Fiddlers or at West Star if you're looking for Ottawa. Okay, my final words, be a thinking rider, progress faster, ride effectively, and be extraordinary. Thank you so much. And join in next week because we're going to be live again next week. Bye now.